Good morning. This is Candace, Mazique Hinton, and I'm coming to you this morning to do my Excel 3 Week 12 video about probability. Okay, so let me minimize my screen. Here we are in scenario 1 with theoretical and empirical probability. Theoretical probability is based on reasoning written as a ratio of the number of favorable outcomes to the number of possible outcomes. Empirical probability, otherwise known as experimental probability, is the ratio of the number of outcomes in which a specified event occurs to the total number of trials in an actual experiment. So with that being said, it just lets you know that in theoretical probability, you're just going on probabilities, okay? Pure chance, pure odds. The odds of something happening or the probability of something happening. No experiments are needed. But when you deal with like the sum of two dies, you're dealing with the experiment because you actually have to do experiments to actually come about the sum. So that's when you're dealing with empirical. Okay. So as I was saying, empirical probability of an event is an estimate that an event will occur based upon how often the event occurred after collecting data from an experiment in many trials. Now, theoretical probability, you don't conduct experiments, as I already stated. With more data, you get less of a change to the distribution, but with fewer numbers, you need more information, which would give you an inconclusive result. And with that being said, it brings me over here to our charts. As you see, we did the dice, rolled the sum of two dice. We did the sum and we did the product, okay? But as you go through, you're doing your dice. And you're just basically just trying to figure out. And as you see, we did with 60. We did trying to find the sum and the product with 6 rows. We did with 60 rows. We did 600 rows, and we did 6,000 rows. So it just tells you the more data that you get, the more production you'll have. As you see in our charts here, in our histograms, with only 6 rows, we really didn't have enough data to just actually be solid in the results that we were getting. And here again, we did the product. Not enough data, really. With 60 rows, you had more data. It was trying to come together. It was trying. Product. With 600 rows, you're coming to a conclusion of what you have. And now with 6,000, you have your solid here. You see where you're solid, and it becomes a normal peak. With the central limit theorem, it tells us exactly what the shape of the distribution means, which this is what is telling us, okay? When we draw repeated samples from given data, as the numbers get larger, the distribution of means will approach normality. This is your approach of normality because you had more numbers. The law of large numbers describes the result of performing the same experiment many times. Our second scenario was dealing with binomial experiments. Had a time with that word. The more experiments we do, the closer we get to normal distribution. And we talked about that over here with the roll of die. with the large law of numbers, it tells you, I mean, with the central law theorem, it tells you that the distribution of means will, when we draw repeated samples from any given data, that it will approach normality. The distribution will approach normality. Okay, so in this we dealt with lottery ticket winners, as well as we dealt with the student that was trying to, that wanted her friend to skip a study session so that she could go out and party with her. Okay, so this is what we have here, and as you can see, we had to take our x, and we had to, this is my formula for it. Okay, the more experiments we do, the closer we get to the normal distribution, because we're more believable, we have more believable data. The classmate would like to get 100% on the test, but is willing to accept 80%, whereas the lottery ticket seller wishes to sell more tickets, which allows more revenue for the store and a better probability of the winning ticket being sold at that location. For some, I didn't know this, but in when I had a job at Kmart, I found out that if a big winning ticket was found to be sold at your store, that store gets a profit of the winnings. I did not know that. Okay, so for those of you that did know that as well, hey, there's a tip. Okay, now the friend only has themselves to think of at this point, because they've already taken the test and they don't have to do that anymore. Okay, if the grade that they received was fine for them, hey, they say they passed, it's okay. It should be fine for you too. Okay. The buyer is, and so they're just like the seller, just trying to reap benefits of enjoyment. The buyer is normally betting that the probability if winning lies in their favor and is more connected to the student. If you're better equipped with the knowledge of how the probabilities are set, then you have a better chance at deciding if you'd be wasting your time or if whatever it is will be worth the effort of your commitment. The purpose of the Arkansas lottery, which I found out, was a way to help, with raising the revenue that would help offset to pay taxes, so that they wouldn't continue to have to ask the taxpayers to increase our taxes. After the revenue is collected from the sale of the tickets, 44 of the states out of the United States basically have a 5% assisting with administrative costs. 2/3 of the revenue goes towards the prizes and winnings, and the proceeds, what that means, whatever's left over, goes to the state. I couldn't actually find a breakdown of what the individual states did with it after that. But as you can see in my charts here, this is the breakdown that we did with Miss Benzie, and it just basically tells you that, hey, what do they do if they don't win anything? Hey, they lose $3.85. This is the breakdown that I did with Arkansas State Lottery. I couldn't quite figure out what this 1% was, because, I mean, it's saying the lottery sales, which the lottery sales is $352,717.94. So I'm assuming, I would think that number would be a lot bigger than 1%, but I guess not. And I did Arkansas State Lottery. I did Illinois State Lottery. Illinois State Lottery sales is 2% of their complete revenue. Hey, and I did Florida State, and Florida State's lottery sales is actually 2% of their lottery sales as well. I mean, of their revenue as well. So I guess Arkansas doesn't sell as many as they do. When our state revenue only gets $19,000 from the sale of lottery sales. So I guess we're in the low end. And here you see the seller actually is getting $9,627,181 profit after all lottery sales. Next, we have our body mass. And this was very fun for me. I never actually thought about my weight. I knew I had a little stomach and I was hoping to lose that, but I never thought of it as all of this. But BMI stands for Body Mass Index, and it is the National Health Advisor's way of determining if a person is overweight or underweight according to the national standards. And in short form, it's just our basic standard, it's just our standard norms against the norm of what they feel is the normal weight for a person. For the women, the numbers mean that we're confident that the mean lies between 15.4% and 40.4%. And I'm talking about the confident intervals numbers. And like I said, it just means that we're confident that these numbers lie between the 15.4 and the 40. So I'm saying we're right here and right here. We're confident that the normal mean is between that. Okay? And for the men, it states that we are confident that the mean lies between 19.54% and 38.46%. So again, here we are. 13.6% people in the U.S. are from here to 38.4% here. Okay. My Z-scores tell me that 45.62%, here I go. So I'm saying that I'm confident that from here to here is 45.62% of the population that is below my Z-score. And there are 54 from here to here. There are 54.38% people that are higher, that have higher Z-scores than I have. In 2017, Arkansas ranked 7 out of 51 states for obesity, and the obesity rate was 35%. Ages 45 through 64, the rate of obesity was 41.4%. Among blacks, it was 44.2%, and among women, it was 37.4%. For me not to have any health issues, thank you, Jesus, that I know of currently, and be healthy, in it, according to the BMI chart that we had to look at, that Ms. Benzie had us look at. According to that, when I input my levels, my numbers and everything in, it told me that I just needed to exercise. I just needed to exercise more daily. That is awesome, compared to other people within my age range that are going through obesity and a lot of illness. So it is a blessing and not too common. But it could all change if I don't continue to look after myself and follow suggestions that come from my doctor and continue to receive regular checkups. If I don't continue to receive regular checkups, I'll never know where I am. And so that's very important for us to do. Continue to get your checkups. Miss Benzie asked us to do 2 other people. And so I chose my husband, Freddie, who's in the red, and I chose my 13-year-old son, Antoine. Antoine is taller than myself and my husband, okay? So, and his only health issues that I know of, well, they told us he took a allergy test because he has asthma. And he's a very outdoors child. He likes sports. He likes to be physical. But they told us through the allergy test that he was allergic to pollen, he's allergic to mold, and he's allergic to trees. And of course, when they told me this, I was like, my son is continuously outside. So how can he be allergic to trees? He's never had a reaction. Now, mind you, my husband's mother is allergic to grass. So I guess it's just in his family genes. It hadn't caught up with him yet. I hope it never does. My husband, on the other hand, my husband has been told that he has high cholesterol, um, which he started taking pills, but he no longer takes the pills because he says he doesn't like the pills. So myself, I don't take any medications on a normal basis. I've had to take in the past some medications because of surgeries on my shoulders, but other than that, and I had about 2 years worth of bouts with migraines. So right now I'm only taking over-the-counter medication. I found some medication that I could take over the counter, whereas I used to only be able to take narcotics when I had a migraine or something. But I found some medication that I can take over the counter. Thank you. Um, that helps me when I do get the occasional headache right now. Because if I don't take anything, it will turn into a migraine, and I'm not trying to go that route anymore. But back to our graphs. As I did our numbers, it was kind of strange. I was very, it was very funny how this turned out. My husband ended up with a positive Z-score, whereas me and my son ended up with a negative Z-score. So here's my Z-score. My score is, I was negative 11. My score was a negative 11. And so here I am. I went to my chart and found me. I'm 0.4562. So that tells me 45.62 are lower than me and 54.38 are higher than my Z-score. My son was a negative 0.85. So here's his 0.1977, which tells us 19.77% are lower than his Z-score and 80.23 are higher than his Z-score. My husband, on the other hand, was 0.21. So I found his Z-score, his here, and his was a 0.5832. So there are 58.32 that have a lower Z-score than he has, and 41.68% have a higher Z-score than he has. I thought that was just hilarious. I couldn't understand that. I could. Okay, so here we are now to our interest rates and loans. And if you're, as I am, my student loans helped me a great bit, because if it wasn't for my student loans, I would be in a whole lot of other debt as far as household, because I can't seem to do a full-time position as well as do a full-time school load and still be able to take care of my household needs. So I'm being able to live throughout the help of my student loans. So as we look at this, we were asked to do simple interest and compound interest. Let me see if I can move this over here so you can see my chart. Okay, so here we are with our formula, and we have our formulas and we have our breakdowns here. Our simple interest, our quarterly interest, and our compound. Let me go to another one. I messed up something. When you know it. I don't want to mess up my stuff. No. Okay. So here we go. All right. So like I said, we have our simple, our quarterly, and we have our continuous compound. Okay. So simple interest is the amount that is added to be paid back on a loan. So here's just our simple interest. Okay. So if I look at it towards student loans, we're going to come here. Our student loans would be our continuous compound because we're continuously paying on our student loan, as well as we pay an extra, as well as we pay the interest. Okay, for a borrower, it exists, excuse me, it exists and should motivate you to pay it back sooner. I would love to pay my loans back sooner rather than later, but I'm just not able to do that. For a lender, it gives you a higher return on the money that you lend. So if I'm going to loan you some money and be able to get back a lot more than what I initially gave you, yes, I'm more willing to give you that. The difference between simple and compound interest is that simple interest builds only on the principal amount, while compound builds on both the principal and the previously earned interest. If you were to use your other expenses money to make extra payments on your mortgage, as we did here, it would save you money on your interest, as well as lessen the time that you would have to pay off your house. Subsidized loans you don't pay interest on while in school, and you begin payment after you graduate. Which brings us down here. Your principal is $12,000 at a 3.5% rate. Your years until graduation, you're going to pay, you have 4 years, so you're going to start making monthly payments after you graduate of $118.66, which would have you paying $14,239 back. You're unsubsidized, you're going to have your principal plus your principal, your rate, times your rate, times rate again. Okay? So your rate is still 3.5. You're still graduating in 4 years, but you're going to end up paying $135.28 a month, and you're going to pay back $16,233. Okay? Student loans. Yeah. This breakdown that Miss Benzie had us to do actually helped me to look at what was going on, especially about here with the monthly payments on a house note. I own my home now, thank God, but previously the home that I had that I was paying on, I did not understand the rates or anything. I just knew that, hey, when I applied for the loan, I was happy that I was approved because I didn't think that I would get approved. But I got approved, and I got my first home, and I was loving it. And I just knew it was a bill. Everything in between, I didn't understand, didn't know how it worked. But by doing this project, by doing this lesson, it helped me to see it better and see exactly what was going on. And so thank God, like I said, this house is bought and paid for. My previous house burnt up in a fire, And so instead of going through it all again, my insurance agent told me, hey, if I was you, I'd just go ahead and buy it. I'd go and get another house, but I would go through a bank and get it this time instead of paying it off. But me and my husband were like, no, I just want to buy the house. So we did. We got it at a steal. Really, I really believe that we got this house at a steal. For the amount of house I have and for the price we pay, I truly am blessed. But as I was saying, subsidized loans you don't pay interest on while in school, and you begin your payment after you graduate. With subsidized loans, you accrue interest from day one. As I was saying down here, we're going to pay the interest, no matter how long. So it would be good if you could start paying on your interest while in school. But if you're like me, I'm not able to do that right now. Paying interest can lessen by making extra payments, and with loans you can start by paying on that immediately, and it will lessen your monthly payments when it's time to begin your actual payments. Random sampling allows, oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. I apologize. Okay, so here we are now to gathering data from populations and samples. Oops, sorry. Here we are, we're talking about the political parties and about how they felt about Trump. Here we see that we have our current population, according to the link that Ms. Benzie gave us, is 328,818,818, which they say we continue to gain so many people every 4 seconds. 27% of our nation is Republican, 44% is independent, and 26 are Democrats, which leaves a 3% that hadn't chosen a political party. Oh, excuse me. As we see here, as we go through our graphs, we have a percentage of Republicans that approve of Trump's time in office. They approve of everything that he does. We have 12% that disapprove, and this is just out of the Republican Party. And we have 1% of data of those that are polled that don't have an opinion at this moment. And we have the same chart and breakdown with Independent Party as well as the Democratic Party. Okay? And in this, we were talking about doing samples. This is one chart that got me, because when I was going through doing it, trying to follow the formula that Ms. Benzie gave us, every time I came over here, it wouldn't give me what I thought I was supposed to have. And I did as she asked us to do. And so I was like, why is it not giving me the numbers? But after a while, after fighting it, I was like, okay, I guess it's supposed to change. Random sampling allows you to randomly pick numbers, and this is what this is, of your data input without thought of planning. So your information has a chance at being equal. And that's where you're going through and you pick different areas. Make sure that you have an equal amount of opportunity, and it's varied. It's not all one brand. So I can't say that I'm going to go to just all Republicans and poll only Republicans and be done with that. That wouldn't give me, you see, with the numbers here, that wouldn't give me a level playing ground, and it would not all be equal. So I would need to go through each party and do some sampling if that's what I chose to do. Stratified sampling, this is what our chart is here. allows you to be strategic in your options. For instance, you could test every 10th item. So if I were to go through and poll from the Republicans and Americans, and I mean Republicans and Independents and Democrats, well, I would have to pick 178 Republicans, 171 Democrats. Well, sorry, start over. This stratified sample is just testing the 2% of each category of voters, okay? So I'd have to be specific in what I'm doing. If I just want the 2%, I'd have to make sure that I get the entire. So I'd have to do 178 of the Republicans, 171 Democrats, and 289 independents. And then of the unknown, I'd have to do 20. Volunteer sampling and convenience are basically the same, and don't require much thought or effort, and may tend to be one-sided depending on your topic and those that you receive input from. I would only use volunteer and convenience when I want a specific outcome. Therefore, I go to those that would be in favor of what the topic is about. It can create confusing data if you don't have a variety of people or areas being surveyed. If only a specific group is being spoken to, then you will only have that group's thoughts and opinions. Our last and final scenario was about perspective. And I've never seen myself as an artistic type of person. So doing this exercise for me was like, wow, I did that. And actually, I had planned to show this to my son, but he wasn't here when I did them. So, but looking at these charts now, I'm gonna make sure that when he gets home today, I'm gonna open this up and show it to him, because he's gonna be like, "You didn't do that." I know he is. So, because if I'd seen this and somebody told me that I did this, I'd be like, "No, you're telling stories." So I'm gonna have to show him exactly how I did it, and I'm pretty sure that he's gonna be on my computer for a minute after that. But it's neat. I didn't know that you actually did this in this type of way. 3D graphing is something I never thought that I'd be doing, and it's something that I can only describe as an amazing art that's created using numbers and scatter plots. When I changed the numbers of some of my graphs, as I increased the number, and I'm meaning change these numbers, it raises the surface, and as the number lowers, it becomes flatter. And by that, I'm speaking of here. If you see, at first I had a whole lot of ones, and then I just went through and I inserted some fours, and they created these. So see, if I put that down, you see how that changed that? I'll go back and put it back up. It changes it again. So that's what I mean by that. When I mix the numbers up, when I change the numbers of some of my graphs, as I increase number, it raised. When I mix the numbers up, it created a curvy effect. Here, this is what I mean by the curvy effect. I went through and I did 2, 5. See, if I just do the 3 here, you see what that did? Oh, no, I didn't do the 3. You see how that flattened out? But if I take it back to 5, then it raises it. It makes it like a little ripple effect. Like, by being able to, when I mix the numbers up, it created a curvy effect. By being able to rotate the image, I'm able to see a different side of the image that I normally wouldn't be able to, and it changes the detail that I'm able to see of the image from different angles. And I was speaking about that here. Basically, Let me see if I can get back to what I did. Rotation. That's what I need. Rotation. Here I go. Rotation. Okay, so as I rotate it, of course you see your bottom. You go back up. But I can see the ripples. You see the ripples, the railings there? And it was just neat to me. Miss Benzie has just really shown me something just neat that I can do. Now I feel like I'm doing something special. You see how I'm doing my perspective, and it just changes the closer that it gets to me. I thought that was neat. There are plenty of situations that come to mind about perspective being able to help make different decisions. In some of my classes, if I could think of things as the teacher does, it might help me do better in some of my coursework or make it easier for me to understand the concepts and strategies that are being taught. And with that, that concludes my video. That concludes my video that I have for our week 12 project. Thank you. Everyone have a great day. And remember that we all rock. Thank you, Miss Benzie.